Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Purple Ponderings with Pankaj. Today, we have as our guest Brett Fulmer, all the way from California, or Broker Brett, as he's known as. Brett, welcome to the show. And uh, why don't we just start with a little bit of an introduction uh, of you, what do you do, and then we'll talk about some interesting topics.
I was gonna say the Brett Fulmer intro. I feel like a lot of the people we know wouldn't recognize who I am. They'd be like, "Who is this?" Oh yeah, Broker Brett. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm an agent out of Southern California. I try to split my time between handling actual policies and being in the weeds of insurance, and then the other half of my time I'm mainly helping a startup come to U.S. From Canada called Fineo, but I help a few other startups. One of which kind of got me and Pankaj talking a lot lately. We've been kicking around some ideas, but I would say half agent, half insurtech tinker. It's probably my best way to describe my day. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And folks, as Brett was alluding to, he and I got, I would say, accidentally connected in a very, very good way. Probably, a few months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, when, I essentially, we had some inbound agency brokerage, calls post COVID asking us about a Purple Land program, and I don't know what to make of agents calling in and interested in this program. So I connected with Broker Brett through our InsNerds connection, and Brett has been anything but absolutely amazingly helpful in understanding why is it that a broker or an agent would want to think about IoT, which is an emerging technology. Traditionally, traditionally we haven't seen a lot of emerging technologies being used in the insurance world, commercial or personal, but you're starting to see a whole lot of activity. So I was very puzzled, right? I was in a space of, why are these guys, or what is the channel really looking for? And so Brett helped me understand that a little bit more. But Brett, just to from your perspective, like when I reached out to you, you weren't very surprised. You said there was something in here, and so tell me a little bit about what was your perspective on how of what the value was of IoT for folks like you.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I was excited you reached out. We originally became friends through an online poker game that our friend Lance Poole put on. Kind of a COVID connection. Um, I work around small business commercial. Our biggest company, there was one that was 700 employees, but usually in that 20 to 80 range, which isn't going to be a lot of middle market radars. But the agent who I was helping out with PNC, he was a benefits guy, gave away a lot of technology to win business. So a lot of value adds, a lot of flyers in there with your quote. Another friend who worked for a true middle market agency had me read the book The Wedge, and then I saw the different value adds that they offered as well, because you're talking some really good monies in insurance. There's going to be a lot of income, so people are willing to kind of give back a little bit because they don't want to just sell you the policy; they want to help your company as well. So I saw Purple Ant as a great example of one of those services, relatively nominal, for annual cost. And, if I had multiple locations, if I was in facilities, I would love to look at my phone, just see the vitals of my buildings, just making sure everything's safe, everything's good. I could see that bringing down loss ratios, saving clients money. So it's kind of a win-win. Helps you get the business, doesn't cost you a lot, helps their insurance get cheaper, helps you keep the business, and then it's kind of fun. I mean, the idea of having this app on your phone or pulling up this dashboard and just making sure everything's good, as a paranoid insurance agent, that sounds amazing to me. So it totally made sense to me, and it was easy to plug together. And I was happy to have a reason to get into conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as you rightly said, based on Brett's sort of experiences and perspective, we sort of you know uh, summarize that as getting new customers, retaining customers, making more money as sort of the value prop. And since then, we've of course Brett's kind of been 100% in helping us with flyers and taking the message to some very interesting people in the industry. And Brett, let's talk a little bit about like two things which I saw from you, which we weren't previously thinking about, which is the mid-market brokerage segment, right? Mid-market commercial. We were previously looking at the small commercial, and we saw the applicability of this proposition there. But you saw something. In fact, you were the one who made me think about you should be looking at mid-market commercial segment, and then sort of post-COVID, looking into that vacant building commercial property situation as well. So talk a little bit about that market segment. Why you think that market segment is sort of ripe for something like this?
I wouldn't pretend to know what the Aons of the world do, or the Willis Towers Watson, maybe Willis Towers Watson would dip down into what we're talking about a little bit. But I'm imagining they can build out programs. I'm imagining you're working with a Disney, you can have an engineer in there configuring everything for you. But I want to say middle market would enjoy being able to give those bells and whistles, but they're not going to have a dedicated systems engineer. And for the reference, middle market, in my mind, a lot of these agencies have to have a minimum of $5,000 earned, commission, probably 100 employee companies, probably anywhere from 100 to maybe 2,000 employees, multiple location typically. Sometimes a closely held business, but maybe something private equity backed, is what I'm thinking. And, big enough to need things to help them stay organized, but not big enough to create their own systems. And I was just thoroughly impressed by what you put together through your industry experience and knowledge. The fact that you're kind of at quote unquote seed stage, I'm like, man, like startups need to be mature these days, but you're coming out like an organized business with value adds out the gate. To me, it was almost easy. You had the puzzle pieces, and I was like, oh, and there's a need that we can spot out there. And then my little bullish nature can just go kind of bug people. I'm not the best, like a 2-year sales cycle to a carrier, I would probably lose my mind a little bit, but bugging a few people who I think would be excited about what you're up to was easy. Like, those, yeah, no thought on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think you saw the connection. Then you rightly said the puzzle pieces were there, where we just weren't thinking about it holistically. But you could see that connection coming from the world that you were in, especially from a like a small to mid-sized brokerage firm, right? Like you said, they won't have all the resources to put something like this together, but they could benefit from working with someone like a Purple Line. So I do want to point out that Brett, you have this fantastic, helpful nature, right? I mean, you alluded to it, but when we kind of had the conversations ourselves, we put some things together. You immediately took it to a few people that you knew who are in the industry to bounce off. Like this is not just, hey, I think this is a great idea, but let's check with other people to think if it's a great idea or not. And we're starting to see responses from people, and there's some great favorable responses, and then some which we are waiting on as well for this thing to unfold. But tell me a little bit about, as you've talked to other people in the industry with this idea, other agencies, other industry friends, what are some of the validations that you've got, and what are some of the objections that you've heard?
I actually haven't really heard objections yet. Maybe lethargy would be the only thing, lethargy. But you have people who can install it for, again, nominal rates. And I hope it's okay to say on here, but we're talking
Yeah.
maybe 70, $100 a location, 13, $25 a year, location. Like not a lot of money relatively for these people who are trying to make $5,000 off of something. So my rule of thumb in getting involved in a startup is, do I trust and like the people? Because my joke is like, if you don't trust or like them, like why are you working with them? Does the technology work somewhere else, but it's not in insurance yet? And I think IoT has plenty of use cases already. And do you think the team can succeed? And you've got the industry experience, the knowledge. You already have this thing built, and you haven't even. I mean, you've got it going, but we've just begun. And you're already there. I would say just lethargy and who's going to pay for it. That was really the only pushback so far. And then being a broker, I know they're a little bit fiscally conservative, but if they're going to make money, they'll spend money. Agents are sort of notorious for that. Even if it's buying leads that aren't fun to work, if they think it's going to grow their business over time, they'll do it. But they are frugal and they're bottom line, so it's kind of got to prove itself out. But yeah, somebody had me read the book The Wedge. I don't know if I mentioned it already, but it's this classic sales book, and you're just looking for differentiators. You're looking for value adds. You're looking to set yourself apart, and a cutting edge IoT play that you can see on your phone or on your desktop. It's pretty cool. It's different, in a very boring conversation that insurance kind of can be. That's a fun little thing to sprinkle in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the other thing that sort of we're both learning is we also ran this idea with some people who are also property owners, right? Because it's not just enough that the broker that we have the broker and the carrier sort of interested in this, but from an adoption standpoint, there's always a question mark of, will the property owner, the business owner, be someone that's willing to try this out? And at least the people that we've spoken to have been very, very positive and embracing of this idea. But talk a little bit about what do you see as you interact with your clients and as you've interacted with some of your friends who are also property owners. What have you heard from them as to about this idea?
I think that they see enough use cases to give it a shot, and then they look forward to seeing it sort of round out, And if we've talked about it, flood, fire, theft, like this is just the piece of the pie that makes the most sense to start with. But they're excited to see it in play today, and then they're excited to see where it can go. These are just the basic vitals. If this was a doctor's office, it's like taking your blood pressure, listening to your heart and your lungs or something. But there's going to be so much more kind of to come in terms of intelligently adding sensors and awareness to what's going on in a building, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So, well, I think we're both are drinking our own Kool-Aids at this point, so we'll
Yeah.
see how it pans out. But I wanted to use this opportunity now to just broaden from there a little bit. I mean, you're working with another startup, right, on the life side, right? And you and
Mhm.
I have talked about how, like, the role of the broker, think about a digital agent, is so important these days that talk to me a little bit about uh, on the life side, right? What do you see as the use of technology? We just saw Lemonade open a life insurance
Ah,
agency. I'm not surprised, but tell me a little bit about how you see your own role as a agent moving from PNC to life, right,
yeah.
into broader. Yeah.
No, it's funny. I always joke. I sold personal lines for a year. I was able to network into commercial, but was literally calling leads and everything for a year. And you freak out about bad auto coverage, and then you forget like to insure the person in the car. Life is different, and even kind of trying to get immersed in that community, we talk about all the cool things in PNC, we talk about technology and risk. Life is very much more a relationship game. Like the technology almost should make the sales side of it or the delivery side disappear, where in PNC you're kind of building a shield, and in life insurance and in life insurance relationships it's about comfort, I guess, and kind of navigating what that person's going through. But yeah, I've, sold 5 policies recently. Hadn't really hit it with a head of steam before. I'm helping a platform come to US from Canada called Fineo that's going to deliver multiple types of product, really easy user flow, kind of broker enabled. I like that it leans on the broker. I don't think we're going anywhere. Some people will buy direct, but I feel like it's for simpler things. And I still think only like 5% of the population wants to deal with insurance on their own. You usually want an advisor, especially if you're making a few more bucks. So I don't really see us going anywhere. But I do think InsurTech is going to make it easier for an agent to wear a couple hats because technology is going to help kind of bridge the data that we need with the customer's needs. We're already seeing it go from, you know, probably 50 questions to 10, on a lot of these small business platforms. So I think that's just going to continue, and we're going to be able to do more, kind of more with less, And our workforce is kind of shrinking too, to a degree. So I think it's kind of inevitability, and I think we'll be just fine, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's very interesting space, and I have to also mention this to our listeners that, like, Brett wears so many different hats, right? So you talk PNC, we talk about life. Brett also runs a runners group
Yeah,
within
that's
his
fun.
nerds community. He's already referenced to how we met at a poker joint. And look, I got to tell you, this runners club, this poker play are all are all activities and things that um, we've leveraged to hone in on to
Yeah.
keep us grounded during this difficult time, right? This year has been hard, but I'd say these two were like, and you're kind of a constant factor in both of them. So tell me about what makes you like, push that, right? And think about those kind of opportunities.
Kind of ridiculous, but a friend a long time told me, like, I don't say power or influence comes from other money or people. And it's like, well, I don't really have money, so I better be good at helping out and being with people. you know? Um, I don't know. For me, running was like medicine during COVID, just getting out, seeing other people, especially at the beginnings in California when it was totally shut down. I'm lucky to be right next to a little nature preserve. I like rhythms, I like consistency, and I like not setting the bar too high. So I try to do like an audio pod once a week. I try to just get in 3 miles a day. Sometimes it's a walk. Strava is really cool to figure out how to set up a group, and Lance helped me there. Pankaj is referring to, we play poker over Zoom on the app. Our buddy Lance set that up. I have enjoyed that part of everything. Kind of with COVID. Before COVID, I was probably 50% commercial, 50% startups. But especially at the start of COVID, it was 90% hanging with my startup buddies because commercial was at a standstill. And yeah, I've really enjoyed being able to connect with people across the country. And the Strava app's cool because we kind of just get to see each other, encourage each other all the time. And there's this strange, nice cross section of people who run and nerd out on this stuff. It's a lot of smart, nice, ambitious people. And I've been impressed with the insurance community in general. It's a fun place. It's fun people to kind of tinker with, and kind of try to create good and be ambitious at the same time. There's very few industries I think you get to do that. But yeah, I just rhythms, low hanging bar. Um, and I've always felt that helping run a group or helping run a facilitate community is just a little bit more effort than participating well. And if you're gonna do that anyways, there's value add to being in the center of stuff. Um, so I'll say slightly selfishly, slightly unselfishly, and I'm having fun. We're nurturing communities of things that are positive we enjoy doing. So a couple different motives in there, and it's been a good time, and it's been awesome connecting with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll just put in a plug for that to anybody listening. And if you're part of the insurance community, if you're a runner or if you like playing poker, hit us up,
Yeah.
especially Brett and I'll share Brett's contact information as well. And you get that company that you might be looking for, or fun set of people. It's like a happy hour,
Yeah.
um, but virtual happy hour, right? So, and you can talk about any topic under the sun. It's just sort of a good way to meet people from a cross section of,
Hmm.
and people are in startups and carriers and all sorts of different hats. So it's just a good section of folks. So I'll just say that it's for me as someone that benefited from what Brett did. I can vouch for the fact that this stuff has been a good saver, right? Sanity saver.
That's cool. No, I appreciate it, Pankaj, and for myself too. If for myself, making those connections, kind of building those new friendships, and yeah, it's helpful. I'm really enjoying it. I'll set us up with another. So what we do is you record on Strava, kind of encourage each other there, and then about once a month, do a little virtual happy hour across the country, which is cool. I mean, last time you had myself in California, Texas, Minnesota, Illinois, New York, Boston, Iowa. It's crazy. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So with that, Brett, let's just go towards the last section of our show where it's all about for our listeners and for me to learn about Brett as a person a little bit more. So uh, with all the things that you have going on, do you get time to read books? Like what do you consider as your hobbies and
I, you
things that you
know,
want to spend your time on?
I wish I sat down with books more. I used to be a fairly consistent reader, but it's all podcasts and audiobooks these days. Um, the running's a big part of that. Probably one of my favorite things is firing up a Weber kettle, just barbecuing. I would say it's funny, but cooking and running, and I'm blessed that I don't use that term often, but what I enjoy doing kind of feels like a hobby almost, like working on projects, working with you, getting cool things done for startups. I am working, but I don't feel like I'm working half the time. Don't get me wrong. Some of it I'm going through paperwork. Some of it's Department of Insurance websites, whatever else. But for the most part, I am thrilled about what I get to work on every day. And with that being said, like, I mean, there's paperwork I was telling Pankaj about before this. I'm nervous about dragging myself through, but at least half the time I'm feeling very lucky to work on what I'm working on. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's no surprise. So, all right, Brett, if I were to ask you, who would be some personalities that you could think of that you'd want to listen from this show, who would come to your minds? Make some recommendations.
Has Lance been on yet?
You know what? That's a good one.
Yeah.
I should get Lance on. Yeah.
He's trapped. But yeah, he's our connection point, and it's been awesome to watch him as an operator. And I think with what Purple Lance up to, what Juniper's been doing the past few months, I think there's a little cross section there. So he's the one. I'll pass the ball to him. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. All right. So in literally the last section, I'm gonna give you two options, Brett, and then you got to choose one, and you have to tell me why you're choosing that. So start with baseball or football,
Probably baseball by a thin margin.
and why?
Just fun times going to Chavez Ravine, going to Dodger games, got Angel Stadium right here. Pure experience. I'll enjoy Sunday football, but I've only ever been to like a preseason Cardinals game or a Rams game when I was super little, when they were still in Anaheim. But yeah, just Dodger games are fun. I'm not even like the biggest baseball guy, but just being at a game, which I kind of joke, I think I have a little bit of ADD. Like once you could actually drink a beer at a baseball game, it made a lot more sense. Before that, you're just sitting there for 3 hours, like, what are we doing? What's going on? Yeah. But yeah, just being at a ballpark, enjoying some food, being out there with friends, it's a good time.
Got it. Superman or Spider-Man?
Probably Spider-Man because he's a little more flawed, and I think I'm more comfortable with, wrinkles, I guess. I don't know.
Got it. Favorite vacation spot, Iceland or Hawaii?
It's funny. I feel lucky to say I've been to both. Iceland was freaking rad. It was like being on another planet. It was interesting. Hawaii is phenomenal. But yeah, I want to sit around for so long. I love exploring. But I guess there's plenty of exploring Hawaii. But I'll still say Iceland.
Got it. Paper books or ebooks?
Paper books all the way. Either a paper book or an audio book. I wouldn't want to read off a screen for that long. I have a habit, even it's bad, but printing stuff if it's more than like 10 pages. And I like actively reading. I like highlighting, I like dog earing stuff. That's probably what I miss the most about, reading an actual book. Yeah.
Got it. And then finally, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Michael Jordan all day. That's no question. LeBron's great, physically gifted, consistent, but there's like a mercurial edge to Jordan that he just had from the jump. I think LeBron learned it to a degree, but that dude was just different. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we come to an end to this show. Any
Cool.
final words that you have, Brett?
No, I just appreciate kind of, not to fanboy too much, but being around the Purple Ant conversations. I think there's something interesting there. Somebody's going to solve that problem, and I think you have the talent to do it. So it's going to be fun to watch and, contribute to that conversation. Yeah.
Well, thank you for those kind words. And with that, we formally wrap up this episode of Purple Ponderings. See you next time.
Thanks, Package.